Well, hello there and welcome to Travels with Geordie. If this is your first visit, my name is Peter Knowles and I live on this classic wooden motor cruiser here in Victoria, British Columbia, along with the loving memory of my pup Geordie, all the while fixing it up for some pretty major cruising someday, sooner and sooner. If that's the sort of thing you might like, please consider sticking around and subscribing. I'd love to have you. And then today, quite a day. This is Sunday, May the 2nd, and this is the day of MV Geordie's first sea trial with the new Beta Marine engine. I'm so excited. But as some of you know, if you watched last week's episode, we're currently experiencing some midday, very low tides this week. So that's going to be a mud flat in a few hours. So it's early in the morning. What I'm going to do is move the boat around in a few minutes, just bring it around to this side of the dock where there is, hello beautiful Zephyrus, a little slip that I can sit on until the appointed time of 1 o'clock. I put some fenders down there, and then we have deep water for our departure at 1. Pretty exciting. But first, let's just jump back in time just a little bit to deal with a little something some of you have been thinking about. Okay, you all remember this little situation where we're trying to make sure we don't run our two cables into each other? Well, why, yes indeed. More than a few of you clever viewers came up with an excellent scheme by which to protect those cables from bumping into each other. I know you can see where this is going. Okay. How simple and straightforward could this possibly be? So there'll be two troughs, an upper and a lower. Make sure that they're sitting where they're supposed to. Okay, so there's the lower trough, and now we're just going to put it in the upper trough. Okay, I think that is pretty darn slick. Let's see what it looks like in operation. Okay, excellent. And I've tightened this up a little bit, so now I'm just going to go through and lock down all the lock nuts and wire up all the shackles. Cool. I thought it might be fun to share just a little behind the scenes footage from the sea trial. Well, not really sea trial, Maine voyage. All right then folks, we are getting ready to depart. I got Captain Ken help me with the bow lines. Lady Zephyrus is in the stern. This is going to be a very, very simple operation, but one never knows. Okay. Love that sound. All right, see you on the other side. Center helm. There we go. Okay, now this is really entertaining. I've got the helm backwards. This is going to be very interesting. So to turn left, I turn right. Didn't go completely smoothly, but not bad. We didn't hit anything. Well then, let's have a little debrief, shall we? I can't say that went as brilliantly as expected. Firstly, obviously with the steering backwards, everything from then on is going to be a little hairy. The boat doesn't handle at all like Zephyrus does. It's much heavier, and with the slower RPM, bumping it into gear has much less effect than it does with Zephyr. So yes, I'm going to have to use a little more throttle in future to get the stern kicked over and things like that. Plus, I forgot it has way more freeboard forward than Zephyr, so even the slightest breeze is... Anyway, no excuses. That was a train wreck. Let me fix the steering, get a couple other things going, and then we're off on a perfect Maine voyage, right? Gotta have a nice clean view for your first trip. All right, folks, let's engage. Okay, well that was fun, but let's get back to some real work. Well, joy of joys, more ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene. Longer pieces. These are 4 feet long, and this is due to a small ordering mistake I made last time. I knew I needed lengths between 2 feet and 4 feet, but I didn't make it clear, and they were all 2 feet. So I needed some longer pieces, had to wait for them to come. They're here now. We're gonna have another stab at bending them. Okay, if you've been following along, you know I tried steam bending. I could just bend them, but I've discovered that the malleable temperature is higher than the boiling point of water. It's closer to 300 degrees, so that's pretty hot. Up 212 to 300, it's not that bad. So I'm hoping I can do it with my heat gun, which claims to go to 1150 degrees. But how much volume of hot air can we get? So I'm going to create a little bit of a steam box, and I'm going to create that steam box out of this piece of flexible aluminum ducting. So I'll stretch it out, I'll pinch the ends around the pipe, and I'll put a hole in the middle somewhere for the nozzle of the heat gun. Let's just see how this goes. We're gonna do something. Now, if you're wondering why I seem to be so obsessed about bending this plastic, and you haven't been following along, or it hasn't been clear, I'll try to make it more clear in this episode how crucial it is that I can bend this stuff in a relatively sharp radius. That's because it's a crucial part of the strengthening the hull that I have to do with the hull out, which is coming on soon. And I need to make sure that I can proof all the various steps that I'm going to be doing at the hull out, because I don't want to be sitting at hull out paying big yard fees trying to figure out how to do this. So this has to be able to bend in a radius of about an 8-inch, maybe 6-inch radius. I think we can do it. So I thought I'd create a little cradle here, a temperature resistant cradle to put the pipe in out of these 2 chunks of aluminum. And I'm going to stretch this out now to the length that I think I need to bend, which I'm not quite sure what that is just yet, because I only need to bend the center section of it, but because I have to roll it in, it has to be able to bend from the very end along to where the final bend is. This will become clear when I actually put one in, which I'm hoping to do today. So I'm going to start about there. This is worth about $6. If I completely destroy this, I can go get another one. Let's just see if I can cut this aluminum. And if I can just sort of push some of these bits around. Now again, this is a proof of concept. If this makes sense, I can just go out and buy some sheet metal, some proper duct tubing. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to put this back in its cradle. Angle that like that. That can sit right there. Excellent, everything is happy. And slide a piece of the plastic in. Come on, it's got to work, right? And we're off. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Well, it's beginning by burning off some sort of finish on this aluminum that, yeah, I'm just going to wait outside for this smoke to settle. Handy dandy laser temperature thingy. Whoa, 700 degrees right there. How about here? 378. 477. All right, well, with the smoke cleared, let's try this again. So what I figure I'll do is I'll just rotate it in here as I pull it out. Pretty hot air coming out. All right, let's see if that's soft at all. Oh, it's hot, I'll tell you. Whew. Oh my gosh, no problem. That's fantastic. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. This part we've got done. Now I can go build a slightly better heating jig. But now I'm excited. Now I think we have to try and put one in place. All right, so now that I know I can bend this stuff, now I have to be able to cut a radius in it to accept the frame, the new oak frame, to come and meet it. And I'll show you in the drawing what that means. But basically I have to put an arc from nothing to about here that is in a 24-inch radius. So I've chosen 24 inches. I don't know if you can see on my bench here, I have 12, 16, and this arc here is a 24-inch radius, which is a very gentle radius, and that is the radius I've chosen to use for the new steam bent frames. That's the maximum, that's the tightest they'll ever bend, sort of. And that's a very, very, very gentle bend for a steam bent oak frame, so they will last forever. Now, that's not going to be quite true. I'm going to cut a 24-inch radius in these plastic spacer ribs, but they're going to fit into the curved section of the hull, and against the outside there's about a 3-foot radius, and against the bottom of the boat there's about a 4-foot radius. So this 24 will be reduced slightly, but I think it's the simplest way to do this, and that way I cut all the same radius in all the same plastic things, whatever these are going to be called. Interestingly enough, I can draw on this black plastic with this black marker. So I have just put a mark on here, right there, and I'm going to come over 24 inches and draw an arc. That, my friends, or as soon as I do it, is a 24-inch arc. Okay, let's see how this goes. I tell you, this doesn't go. I need better light. There we go, much better. Okay. Okay, so I've just warmed this one up. Whew, that's hot. Let's get it into place as quickly as we can. There we go. Whew, that's hot. Crikey. Sorry folks, you missed some of the fun. The battery died on the camera as I was driving it in, but it's actually going really well. So what I'm just doing is using this this little bar here to just bite a little bit and tap it up and in, and that's looking really good. Really, really good. As before, I'm going to use this foam to sort of determine how that curve lines up. And with that left hanging, let's just jump on to something completely different. Little project for today is to actually lower the Bimini on MV Zephyrus. Those of you who've been following along know that this was actually on my boat at one time, and it worked out really, really well here, so I wanted to give it to Lady Zephyrus. But it's way too high. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut down the two main bows, which will drop it, and it'll also change the geometry a little bit and make the two center bows stick up a little more anyway. It's going to fix the whole thing quite a bit, actually. Alright, so here we have the Bimini off the boat and on the dock. Now I've held it together at a new possible angle with a hose clamp here, and I had to raise this side up 3 inches because of course the pivot point is actually 3 inches above the dock on this side. So to keep all the geometry correct, it has to be like that. So you can't really tell because I can't tent in it right now, but this has actually somewhat improved the geometry of the Bimini because the center bows weren't actually high enough before, and so you didn't have much of a camber in this direction. The trick is making sure it doesn't get too loose at the edges. It seems very loose now, but there's no tension on it. I think this is good. Now I just have to determine how much I cut off each of the sections of the bows. It'll be equal on both sides, and I've determined it's roughly 9 inches. I might air for 8. Yeah. And then drill out pop rivets, put in new pop rivets. I found stainless pop rivets, not easy to find. Okay, so next part is pretty straightforward. Take off the old fittings, and they're held in place with pop rivets. Classic spinning the pop rivet problem. Put a little twist on it. There we go. Good. All right, then I've marked the 2 bows. To correct a bit of a problem when it was first made, I'm actually taking a little more off the front bow because it was too long to begin with, and I think that'll tidy up some stuff. So pretty straightforward. Definitely safety glass work. There we go. All right, so now to reassemble. Basically, put the sockets back on. Okay, drill for the pop rivet. And in it goes. Stainless pop rivets, love them. Hard to pull. Ugh. I've never had an awesome pop rivet gun. This one is not bad though. Oh, crikey, stainless. There we go. That's on there. Woohoo! For a Land Rover guy who's used to aluminum pop rivets, hey, that's a pull. Okay, that's ready to be reinstalled, but I can't reinstall it just yet, and I'll show you why. Last fall, Lady Zephyrs and I started a little work on her boat in the aft port corner here, and it's horrendous. Yeah, we got caught out by the weather, as often happens when you're living and working on wooden boats. So this needs to be dealt with, and we can't really do it with the Bimini in the way. So that's the next project. Leaving a project like this for a year to weather is definitely starting from scratch. For instance, all the filler I put in, now I have to clean out all the little divots in it to make sure that fresh filler will bond to it properly, but it's going to be okay. Unfortunately, the cabin side is just too rough to ever go back to natural again. It's got tons of splines in it, it's got big divots of rot, and it just gets worse as you go forward. It's quite bad back there too. Anyway, I think MV Zephyrs looks pretty good with white cabin sides. I'm going to start with just some liquid epoxy and then add some filler once I've sort of saturated all those joints as much as I can. Now, I'm not an epoxy expert, so if I say anything that's absolute rubbish, let me know. I hate epoxy. I hate epoxy the same way I hate diesel. I'm very grateful they exist, and I use it. It doesn't mean I like it. Okay. All right, I'm gonna start by just saturating in this nasty little spot down here, and then this whole seam, which I dug a whole lot of sealant out of. And now for the filler. There are half a dozen or so different fillers in the West System line, and I honestly don't know which is the best for this application. I happen to have some 407. Of course, I have no association with West System in any shape or form. It's pink and it mixes up quite smooth and sandable. And as I said, I don't really claim to know much about this. Welcome to beautiful, serene Victoria Harbor. And there we go, peanut butter, or pretty close to peanut butter. As it starts to kick, it'll get closer and closer. Let's go put this in the joints. All right, well, I've employed my standard protocol. If some is good, more is better. I'm really not very good at this sort of thing. Well, hello there, and welcome to the Travels with Geordie Beer of the Week. Little scattered this week, I know. There's so much going on, and I usually try to get an episode, a full story, a full project at least. Anyway, and I realized we jumped all over the place this week. That's the nature of my life these days. Anyway, let's jump to the beer. This I know is going to be great. This is Salt Spring Breweries from Salt Spring Island, just north of here, and it's their Heather Ale. And I can't remember if I've done this before. In fact, I can't remember if I've ever had it before, but I'm looking forward to it. Oh gosh, what a long weekend, even though it's just come through this week. I apologize, this episode is late. I think it'll be up tomorrow morning, but I'm not quite sure, which will mean Wednesday. Anyway, there's lots of stuff going on. It's just whether or not I can get this all edited. But thought I'd shoot a beer of the week just in case. Cheers. Oh, this is exactly what I needed right now. It's like a Roos. It's like, you know, a red ale. It's so good. It's not hoppy, but it's bright. And it's just a little bit citrus. I don't know how they do that. Anyway, it's yummy. Fantastic. Okay, we got a lot to get through. Last week's winner of a Travels With Geordie t-shirt was Russell Murphy. Russell, get a hold of me and I'll make sure you get your shirt. Wow, some wonderful generosity in and around the first trip taking out the boat, which was so exciting. It seems a bunch of people were very willing to be generous. Again, during the live stream there was some wonderful generosity, and since two new Patreons, simply Brian, thank you very much Brian, and Jeffrey Nickel, thank you ever so much, both of you. And the PayPal just absolutely lit up. Thank you ever so much to Robert Bassett, Ray Linus, Charles Freeman, The One More, that's one of the names, and John Simon McMonigal, as well as Philip Tremensberger. Well, thank you all so very much for your generosity and coming aboard to support Travels with Geordie. I'm very, very grateful. In the weekend episode, you're going to see the fuel tanks. I think so. I'm picking them up tomorrow. I saw them today and paid for them. They're gorgeous. They're massive. They're solid. They're just so nice. They're so expensive. Anyway, worked out really well. Okay, so we only just need a word of the day, and the word, I'm afraid, is just busy, because I am just so bloody busy these days. I'm behind on all kinds of correspondence. Some of you will know that, and I apologize. But I'm going to try and really catch up over the next couple of days and at least get back to all the correspondence that I'm regularly committed to, as well as all the comments that I read and answer in the episodes. So cheers to you all. See you on Saturday.